Reports was on CNBC in an exclusive to dismiss rumors of a cash crunch. He told CNBC investors and the Wall Street analysts the firm liquidity position was fine.
The markets have certainly gotten worse, but our liquidity position has not changed at all. Our balance sheet has not weakened at all.
And yet 48 hours later, everything changes. This morning, Schwartz said that the firm's cash position had deteriorated sharply over the past day.
10 years out on the financial crisis, we still don't have the infrastructure perhaps to prevent the next one. And I think this is where digital assets can really help, because an efficient digital asset can really solve some of the key problems in global liquidity. You know, the world's got trillions and trillions of dollars tied up in liquidity just to get around how clunky the movement of value is around the world. If with a really efficient digital asset, something like XRP, and that's what we believe will be the most efficient, you can now reduce trillions and trillions of capital from being tied up. So you can make those transfers instantly as a bank or as a payment provider, as an enterprise, without having to have money pre-positioned all over the world.
That right there is something that I don't think enough people in the XRP community pay attention to. What we're going to be talking about in this video is XRP as a supranational currency, a new way for global elites, powers, businesses, and individuals to interact without counterparty risk and with instantaneous transfer and settlement of value. This is what XRP brings to the world, and why XRP was created. That's a question that we're going to be diving heavily into in this video. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. Thank you to everyone who likes and subscribes. And if you ever need a good place to buy some XRP, make sure to check out my favorite exchange Uphold down in the description of this video. With that said, let's jump right into it. And I hope you guys enjoy the content. So guys, as we showed in the intro, I don't think enough people have really appreciated from the start exactly why XRP was created in the first place. If you take a look at the creation of cryptocurrencies, it came after the 2008 financial crisis. And while it's hard to determine the exact failure of any crisis, it's normally the attribute of a whole bunch of different things. One of the things that has been made explicitly clear through research and through interviewing a lot of the firms involved is that while liquidity froze up in 2008, it's not necessarily the fact that the liquidity wasn't there. That's one of the things you hear about Chris Larson mention in that clip we reviewed earlier. 2008 was a global catastrophe, a massive freeze up, but the value existed in a lot of places. The truth is because of the outdated rails of the banking system, despite the fact that a lot of different firms had liquidity and can make good on their payments, that liquidity was frozen because of the inefficiencies in the current financial system. What XRP and the XRP ledger represent is a way out of that problem. A solution to trapped liquidity, inefficient payments, and instantaneous value becoming real. That is what XRP offers to the financial system. And what Ripple is doing is elevating and intertwining XRP into the fabric of the current financial system. The truth is XRP, while an excellent positioned cryptocurrency on the technology side, isn't that much different from another cryptocurrency that is an exact replica of the tech XRP delivers. But what XRP has that no other cryptocurrency does is Ripple, a company interweaving the digital asset directly into the fabric of the largest banking institutions, government, and some financial conglomerates on planet Earth. This is unique. This is powerful and lives up to the dream of creating a technological solution and infrastructure upgrade to what happened in 2008. The reaction from most of the world from 2008 was simply to jam more regulation in the door, make new policies, make new ways for people to make sure that certain things aren't going to happen. But it doesn't solve the core infrastructure problem that we faced. The fact that money could not move fast enough to keep up with the defaults of liquidation. The fact that money was trapped and siloed and couldn't be moved fast enough to make good on obligations that needed to be made good on. This caused a massive cascade effect, where if XRP was present and a solution during that time, likely could have backstopped the problem and prevented it from cascading into what it cascaded into. Not to say there wouldn't have been a problem in 2008, but the downstream effects likely would have been severely limited. And this is not a new idea only being talked about on the cryptocurrency side. This is something that came directly from a central bank research paper. Currency sovereignty that can maintain its long-term stability as a store of currency value. A super sovereign currency would have the functions of simplifying price calculations for all commodities throughout the world and aiding in payments and settlement in international trade, acting as the reserve for international settlement surplus and expediting payments on credit and debit contracts. This idea of a super sovereign currency, something that has no owner, something that has no creator, something that is not tied to any jurisdiction, but allows value to flow seamlessly anywhere in the world instantaneously. This is something that has been being asked by central banks, by regulators, by governments for a very long period of time. It just so happens to fit perfectly into the vision that Ripple has been stewarding for XRP. It goes back to a diagram we have talked about all the time on this channel. Go back to what we just heard. Central banks are looking for a way to create global pricing, to relay every single commodity and peg it to one another using a bridge asset that no party controls, a bridge asset that no party has complete and other decision making over. That is exactly what XRP brings to the system. A way of pricing every single commodity to XRP and thus creating liquidity between them without the reliance or the need for any central party making those decisions. Take a look at the simplicity in comparison to the financial system we have today, where every single asset has to be priced against one another and has to be made liquid to one another through millions upon millions of different connections, versus everything running through a supernatural currency like XRP, acting as a liquidity bridge to all the world's assets. That is the world that Ripple wants to bring. And that is the problem that was brought to us in 2008. This has always been the goal of Ripple and XRP. Not so much only from the technology side, but it's introduced an asset that has never existed before. Something that solves problems that regulation can't do on its own. The cryptocurrency revolution has been tied to a whole bunch of different verticals, but no more important than money itself. Bitcoin tried to solve these problems, but failed to do so in maintaining the relationship between the current powers that be in the financial system and what it was looking to usurp. What XRP does is very different. It's not looking to replace and disrupt fiat currency on its own, but instead create parity between all fiat currency, all asset, all debt, and all commodity, by allowing value to be tokenized and move as seamlessly as information does today in the internet, but over the internet of value. That is what XRP as liquidity offers to the system. It doesn't require trust in any one country or business or company. Instead, it allows liquidity that is as free and as open as the internet itself. Something that you don't have to rely on or trust, but instead gain the function of one of the most powerful tools to ever exist in the financial application. That is what XRP represents. And it was created for the distinct purpose of solving one of the largest financial crises on Earth. This is not speculation. This is something that central banks and regulators have been talking about since 2008, and something that has been part of Ripple's mission to solve from the start. None of this is a random coincidence. None of this is cryptocurrency bro speculation on where XRP could go one day. This was a calculated effort, a decision, and a path made to inject XRP into the veins of the current financial system and introduce the financial conglomerates to an asset that has never existed before on Earth. XRP is on its own decentralized, free, and instant liquidity for anyone in the world to contribute to or draw off of. And that has the potential to revolutionize the entire financial system at its core and introduce something that can be profoundly impactful for altering the decisions that we make as a society moving forward and changing the fabric of how the financial system operates. Guys, this is the thesis behind XRP. While there's a lot of different cryptocurrencies out there that I think is interesting, what XRP brings on a holistic scale, not only from the technology, but from the asset itself, and his geopolitical positioning is extremely unique, and I believe has the potential to be one of the most important transformations to the financial system as we know it today. And I think this revolution is already well underway. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this update. For now, Nickel out.